What's up, y'all? You're kicking it with the Junkyard Doggin, junkyarddogs.com. So last episode you saw Project Mayhem. I cut this portion out of that 86 vert that you saw. So what I'm gonna do now, before I graft this into Mayhem, is map out the parts that I don't want and then map out the parts that I do want, so that I don't make a bad cut and ruin the portion that I want. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go ahead and just sit here with one of those pen markers and just kind of cross out whatever we don't want and see what we can do. Now I'm trying to avoid from having to re-drill out the spot welds on the cowl that I just put in. I don't want to do that again. But if it proves to be easier, then I'll probably have to. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid that. But anyway, yeah, man. So let's get cracking. Okay, I don't want this. This. Be careful, sharp edges on this thing. That's what good. It's one thing about sheet metal that makes me upset, man. That's why you gotta be careful right here. You know what I'm saying? So all I can say is blood, sweat, no tears, cause I ain't no punk. Junkyard Doggin. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it around a little bit, start cutting some of the sheet metal away that I don't want. To make it lighter, so I can kind of maneuver around this a little bit better. So yeah, and that part here has got an X on it. Can't see it now. That part on the top's got an X on it. What else? This little portion of the floor right here, it's got an X on the opposite side. So it's time to break out the Sawzall. All right, so most of the chopping is done. As you can see, I went in and chopped the area that I did not have an X on, which, like I said earlier, I'm kind of irritated about. But now it's for the most tedious part, spot weld drill. Drilling out all those spot welds. So we got to get the ones all over here, all the ones there, all the ones along this panel, all the ones down there, the corner, all along the rail itself. I mean, you know, got my work cut out for me, so let's go. The key to making these Harbor Freight spot weld drills last, because they're pretty delicate. Use cutting fluid. I have a cutting fluid that I bought from a metal supplier locally. And don't go too fast or you just shred them. So I turn my drill on the low gear and then just take my time. This is the kind of thing that just requires like a supreme patience, you know what I'm saying? We'll continue going down the line till I get it, a lot of them, to the point where I can just cut this piece off and just have the rail. I'm just working my way from the easier part up to the more complex parts and trying to decide on what I'm going to actually do when I get up here, you know what I mean? Because the shock tower on Mayhem isn't jacked up, it's the frame rail. So I'm trying to decide on whether to cut that whole thing out or leave it, or you know, it's just, you know, it's a decision I got to make. So I got to figure this out one step at a time. All right, so we got this pry bar. I'm going to stick it in here and try to pry up on the metal here and break the, there we go. Oh. here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. What's going on? There we go. All right, did a little bit of cutting, got this part out here. So let's go ahead and, that's the old shock tower. The rest of the frame bits. So boom, there it is. So we just gotta clean these little spot welds up, but that's it. That's what's gonna go over the other piece. So I gotta cut out this part here, and that's it. I can graft it in. Yeah, this is what an old milk crate of Foxbody frame parts looks like. That's the parts that I cut off, and from the red vert and from Project Mayhem. So there it is. Pile of junk. About to go to the curb for somebody to come and pick up, take to the scrapper. So boom, there it is. This is the frame rail from the red convertible you saw me cut up a couple weeks back. So yeah, it was a little difficult. I taped some of me cutting it up, but it was definitely a task. It was not easy. As you can see, all the spot welds that I drilled out. I tried to do it where, you know, I would go from the inside, but unfortunately with this, I had to drill the spot welds from the outside, so I'm just gonna have to weld those holes up, which is not a big thing. But these 3 holes in here just align with the 3 holes that are in the bottom right there. And then there's kind of like a shadow almost where the old frame rail was on the Fox here, if you really look. So if you look under here, I kind of grinded a little bit, just trying to clean it up. But the floor is really banged up under there, so I'm gonna have to figure out. I guess I just go in there with a hammer and get to just whacking on the floor till it comes back flat. All right, so now that we've gotten to the point, you see this whole mess of wires in here. I had to peel back to look at this floor. Look at that. It's all bent right here. See, the frame goes right here, and it's just not flat at all. It got bent up right there. It got bent up right there. It got bent up over here. So, yeah, look at that. Look like even the seat broke when they tried to weld it back in. Oh, what a mess. If I had known that, I would have kept the one that was in the red convertible, because it was perfect. Yeah, it's crazy, man. They really destroyed this car. Got hit pretty bad. But you see, there's a couple spots like right there where it went through, where I went through. So yeah, there's like a sound deadening right here, so it'll make it really difficult for me to just kind of weld it up from the top. So I'm just gonna go underneath and get to welding from under there. So yeah, let's go. I decided to put the bolts in the bottom here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we'll try to get a good angle. See? So we're gonna use those as guide points for the frame rail to kind of go in. And then we're just gonna kind of just fit it best we can. So let's get them under here. As you guys saw earlier, like I said, I banged the floor up just a little bit, just to see if I can get it to do what I want it to do. All right, so yeah, we grafted it in. There it is. Red convertible frame and an 89 GT. 86 frame and an 89, that's funny. Anyway. Boom, so there it is. So you see how we got this gap here that's unacceptable, so we're gonna use C-clamps to kind of squish it down. I got lots of little C-clamps because I've done stuff like this before on my Cougar. As you can see here, you know, it's got some gaps. We're gonna C-clamp it all down, all the way across. See, this area here probably needs to get banged up a little bit more, massaged as the term goes. See in here too, just needs a little bit of massage, just a little something from the inside. This area here, as you can see, it's kind of cocked. It's very, very tight. So we're gonna weld all this part in first, and then go ahead and one of these holes that we drilled, we're gonna drill all the way through and put a bolt, and actually bolt it to where it pulls it into place. Before we do that, obviously we're gonna go ahead and weld this in place before we do that. Then underneath, I ended up having to take this jack because the floor was all banged up. So what I did was I took the jack and I put it underneath the frame. Now the frame was a guide because the frame was straight. So the new frame rail was straight. So right here there was a big gap. So I ended up banging that back straight. There's still a gap right here, but I'm gonna just go ahead and use a little punch on that. And then underneath here, where it was, the floor was all banged up. So I put this underneath to keep this in place, and I went inside and banged down on the floor so that it would come flat against the frame rail, as you can see. But you see right here, there's that big, huge gap because the drive shaft, when it broke loose, it actually ended up slamming right there first, and then the second time around, it ended up busting through the floor, you know? I didn't even see that before. You see that? It's a crack. It's a straight crack, man. Look at that. The floor is jacked up, so I'm gonna have to find a floor pan for the back right here. Just a little bit more work, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm Junkyard Doggin, man. I told y'all before, man, this is cool for me. And for those of you who are like, oh, you're never gonna match it up and all that other junk, these bolts go through the shock tower, so they match them up. We got 3 mounting holes or whatever, and we got the 2 holes on the bottom so we can weld it back up. You know, go ahead and tighten those down all the way so that we can actually mate the steel together. And then what I did, just to make sure that we're still in good shape, as far as, you see this is the mount here, and this is the mount over here for the K-member. So I went ahead and I stuck a piece of wood in between them, just like this. Okay, see it? And then I put a level on it, just to check if it was level in the current state that it's in. And we'll take a look. That looks level to me. It's not. Then we take a look, and you see it's just off just a little bit, but it was in the lines. So it looks like this side needs to come down a little bit like that. But hey, that's what the adjustments for caster and camber are for. That's what the adjustments for the K-member are for. So yeah, you know, these cars weren't straight from the factory, but you know, gonna make it straighter than it was. So boom, there it is. Frame rail grafted. So I'm just gonna go ahead and weld this in. All right, so we drilled through and we put this bolt from the inside. It's a real small hole underneath the sound deadening. So it's not really too intrusive. So we're gonna go ahead and bolt on, and we're gonna start tightening it down. That way we can pull this gap together. Go ahead and take the mallet and go and work that down. Work that up with the mallet. C-clamp that so we can get the flat. We use the bolts to kind of bring this back flat up to the shock tower. This one's loose, but we don't need it. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so yeah, I just ran a bead across the top here, and then I filled in the holes. There was a hole right here. There's a little piece of the left of the hole right there. There's a hole there. I just filled them up and then I grinded it smooth. And I did the same thing here. That weld is still not grinded down, but then I had a problem here with it kind of trying to burn through. So whatever. I just put a piece of brass behind it and welded it back shut. All right, so there it is. We have the K-member kind of loosely bolted in because I gotta use a plumb bob to set it up. But there it is. The frame rail is in there. Let's get around this side here, take a look. So I went ahead and I just ran a little bit of welds under here. I ran a couple welds right up in here, kind of smoothed them down. As you can see, you know. I missed the spot right there because I couldn't see it, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up. But yeah, that mug is in there, man. Had a little rough time down here filling in some holes. Just kind of filled in a little bit those big holes. Like, see, there's a big hole right here from a spot weld, This one I don't think I can fill. I can fill the rest of this one. I just, you know, and I ran a bead across top here, and I ran a bead across there just to kind of make sure it stays strong. And then I ran out of weld. I ran out of welding wire, you know what I'm saying? And this here was just a monstrosity. I don't know what the hell happened here. You know, I'm not particularly the greatest welder, but to be honest, I've been getting to be a better welder since I've been doing this, because I learned a couple things about the settings on my welder to get it to run a nice bead and to actually strike a really good arc. So I'm really proud about that as well, because you know, when you do projects, that's why it's good to try things, guys. And if you try things and you'll learn, you might mess it up. So what? It's just, you know, weld. You can grind it off and try again, you know? So till next time, I'm gonna be doing a video about the rebuild of the T5 finally. I've been really caught up with this. That's why I haven't been able to even put out any consistent videos as of recently. But we're gonna do the T5 video, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to set this upright. I'm not particularly too concerned also about setting this up right now too, because we're gonna send the whole car to the media blaster. You know, take the windshield back out, take the glass and the windows, turn them down, take out the back glass for the hatch, and remove the quarter windows, and send it to the media blaster. He's gonna blast the whole car for me, because underneath is really dirty and messed up. And we want to start with something fresh, so I'm gonna have him go ahead and clean it up. So there it is. The frame rail is in. Junkyard Doggin.